Welcome to Success in 7, where we shine a light on small businesses that are doing business differently to inspire others to do the same. Each episode, we'll sit down with a small business owner to talk about their business journey, challenging preconceived notions of success and what it means to be successful on their own terms. In the studio today, I'm joined by Raphi Aronowicz from Tonic Blooms. Selling creepy crawlers in the playground. Let's start there in terms of your entrepreneurial spirit at a really young age.
Sure, and I guess when I was called into the principal's office, I didn't realize I was doing something wrong at the time. I thought I was just doing, what I was taught to do. But yeah, since as early as I can remember, business has been, I guess, in my blood. I think I was trading stocks when I was like 13 years old. And so I've always had this entrepreneurial spirit. I didn't know I would end up being a florist, I guess, at the end of the day. You don't know where it's going to take you. But yeah, that's the journey that I took, and this is where I found myself.
Did you get in trouble for selling the creepy crawlers?
I was in trouble. Well, I wouldn't say I was in trouble, but I was told to stop selling the creepy crawlers.
Did you make any money?
Of course.
That's always a good place to start. Now you are in the flower delivery business, and a lot about this business, from what I understand from your journey to starting this company, you saw it as a process that was largely broken. Let's start there. What was the issue?
How this all started was out of a story that involved myself and my wife, and it was kind of like a cliche classic story. I believe it was Valentine's Day, and I had to send flowers, as one does, sort of the bare minimum that you can do on a Valentine's Day. So I went online, that was a bit of a struggle, but I eventually found a website that I thought was reputable and sort of to my taste, placed the order, and it's that classic, delivered by 6 p.m. offering. So she worked downtown Toronto. I also worked downtown Toronto, but she ended the day at around 4 o'clock. So 4 o'clock rolls around and I don't have any message, no thank you. So I know something's up, it hasn't been delivered, and I've missed the opportunity. And out of that experience where she had left and didn't receive the flowers, and I had to deal with customer support for hours on the busiest flower delivery day, I realized that there was definitely a problem with this industry, something that was seemingly somewhat straightforward. People had just really bad experiences across the board. You hear these horror stories from pretty much everyone back then. And that was kind of like my eureka moment where I thought there's got to be a way to improve this business.
Let's talk about what you're doing differently, but I wanted to just reference Tonic Blooms and this little package that you have brought over. I've been the recipient of Tonic Blooms and absolutely love the entire process. So maybe walk us through how you are doing this business differently.
Sure. I would say our core mission values or our mission statement rather is to bring the joy back to sending flowers. Talking back to the experience I mentioned, it was a painful experience from start to finish, and flowers are supposed to be something that are generally joyful, celebratory in nature. So to have something that's supposed to have that kind of impact be so frustrating was a true pain point. So it really required us to go to the drawing board from start to finish and just reinvent the entire business model.
From a customer's standpoint, the whole process does feel different. So, when I get my Tonic Blooms delivery, that's not my first interaction. There are text messages beforehand. Even the delivery itself looks different. Can you talk about all of those extra details that have really helped you to succeed?
Sure. We realized that sending flowers often involve very stressful life moments, whether it's congratulatory or maybe something to do with sympathy. The people who are sending these flowers are generally either very excited or very stressed, and they realize that moment of the flower delivery is crucial. So when we started the company, our primary focus was offering this 2-hour delivery window with the focus on not ruining the surprise. That was paramount. We thought that was the biggest challenge in the flower delivery business. how can we maintain that element of surprise, which is a big differentiator. Because the flowers are a product, but Tonic Blooms is an experience.
Inside the business, what tools and technologies do you use to keep the business running day to day?
We have a pretty extensive technology stack. I think one of our differentiators is the technology we've built in-house. The two main focuses of the technology are always to simplify process and improve the customer experience. And anytime we can simplify things and improve efficiency, it just goes down to the customer at the end of the day. We can lower prices and provide a better service. Some of the specific tools that we use a delivery routing service called OnFleet, which helps us route all the deliveries and make sure things are delivered on time. And we also use QuickBooks for all our financial forecasting and actually payroll as well. And that's been a huge help.
As you look back on your success, what lessons have you learned that you can share with other entrepreneurs who are watching?
Oh, there are countless lessons to be learned when you start a business. Some of those lessons, I don't know if I would have even started it if I knew what I was getting myself into, particularly in the flower business. But I would say it's really important to just stick to your guns. If you have conviction in something, you can get outside opinions. People tell you to do it this way. Oh, I think this is how you should be working. But if you really feel a certain way about something and you have strong conviction, you should definitely follow your gut, because it tends to be correct most of the time. I would say is the biggest lesson as an entrepreneur. Just trust your gut.
When you look forward to the future in 2024 and you think about some of those long-term goals, how would you describe what success looks like in 7 words or less?
In 7 words or less, I would say more smiles than last year.
I love that. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.